Welcome back to Wired for Woo. My name is Deanna,
And I'm Angelique.
and we're two professional psychic mediums and dear friends who love to chat about all things life, love, woo woo, and everything in between. We know how this wild human ride can be, so we're here to share some of our experiences, insights, ponderings, and some laughs to hopefully, keyword, help you feel connected and support you as you walk your own unique path.
And thank you so much for tuning in. And if you enjoyed Wired for Woo, we deeply appreciate it if you could like and subscribe to our podcast. Your support helps us continue to share our stories, insight, and all the magic along the way. So we're so grateful to have you with us on this journey.
For sure. Feels
Hmm.
good to be back. We've kind of taken a little bit of a hiatus here, which we
I
needed.
know. I know. It was needed. It
It
was
was needed,
needed.
but happy to be back.
I know. I know. It's so funny. It's like I totally want to start off with like, I don't know how about you have been feeling, but like just the energy around us has been like so weird.
Yeah, it's been a struggle to kind of like just kind of stay equilibrium lately,
Yeah,
is the way I
I
kind of put it.
know. I know. And it's like one of the things that I have been feeling, and it's kind of awful to say out loud, but um not that I felt like I've lost my mojo, but like I feel like I've lost my mojo. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
I do. I've been talking a
And
lot lately about how like I'm just in like a season. I'm trying to like be in that like it's okay to be there because it's a season, but totally
yeah,
uninspired, totally just like feel a little floaty, feel a little like just what now? It's definitely
yeah.
where
And I
I'm at.
remember you saying like, um, there was something that you were telling me about like when you are in like the time of your birthday, like your season, that's your winter.
Hmm.
Or and so like June for you, because you're a Gemini, is your that's technically like the flip side. You would think that would be like your bright sunny time because you're in your Gemini energy right now, but like is that the opposite during that? Or I know I'm kind of like going all over the place with Mojo, but like I feel
No.
like for me, because I'm Scorpio, like I'm like on the cusp of Scorpio and Sag. So like I feel like I'm still kind of like in my winter, even though we're technically are in winter season. But I feel like I'm in like this weird dormant stage right now. And I don't know whether
Mm.
that's universal right now, but like when, I just remember you talking about that
Yeah.
with like when you're in like around the time of your birthday, you're in your winter. Is that
Yeah.
right? Is that what you meant? I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember what you said by that. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of my mentors, her name is Shantae McElvin, and she's just fucking brilliant. But she kind of is the one who put me onto this. And I was realizing that like there was this like a lot of the things she talks about are that like we are nature. And so like our birthday is our personal new year, but if you think about like new year, it's like dead in the middle of winter, and like your new year it's like your birth, but like what comes with birth? Death. Like it's the kind of like where the beginning meets the end kind of
Yeah.
thing. So I do see birthdays as being like right smack dab in the middle of your winter season. But like, and that's why I've always thought like usually the what I would say is like my fall because my birthday's in is June 1st. My fall actually starts in February. And what I'll notice is around February time, that's when like a lot of my major losses or changes have happened. Like there's a lot of like falling away of things that happens in February. Like, and I don't even think it's like because I'm expecting it. It's like both of my, again, if you haven't heard previous podcasts, I've married the same guy twice. So I haven't, but both of those divorces were in the same week in February, like 4 years apart.
That's crazy.
And then my dog
I don't
passed
remember you
away.
telling me, but I don't remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, and then my dog passed away in February and I sold my house in February. And so like there's a lot of like what I would say, but if you think about fall in nature, it's like when the leaves are falling. Like it's the beginning of the decay of something. So, and what I want to say is whereas like I view winter is like that moment of stillness or where like what I would say is more the season, like I would say fall is more the like falling away season, but then winter is more of like the grief, stillness, and reflection season. So it's kind of like what I want to say is for me, the months leading up to my birthday, I often feel very sad. or I'll feel like I'm kind of moving through some like heavy stuff, or that's when like friendships might end, or like a massive like awakening or whatever happens for me. Which even my spiritual awakening happened right at the beginning of my winter season. So in like late or early April. So that's like right as like I'm coming from fall to winter is when my awakening happened too. So like that like spring into summer time frame is always a little bit more, which it doesn't always have to suck that bad, but like it's always more reflective. It's always more internal for me.
Hmm.
But then it's funny because if you also think about like I think we're also attuned to like the Earth's seasons. So like you're kind of like in a way lucky that your birthday actually lines up with the actual seasons.
Yeah, but I don't, for me, like right now, I normally don't, I've never felt this before. And it
Mm,
could be just what's going on with me. I mean, I've had a lot of change and transition in my life, and so I know I'm kind of going through like my what's next, I guess you could say, or my next chapter, whatever. But it's the first time in a long time. I mean, I've gone through periods where, and you and I've talked where, like, you kind of feel like you're a little bit in the fog, or
hmm.
you're kind of just, I've used this analogy with my spirit guides where, like, I feel like I'm standing in the middle of a field, like in a circle of trees with there's no path to find, for me to walk on. Like, I just don't know which way to go. Like, I feel a little lost, I guess you could
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
And this is the first time where I've felt I feel like I'm in a true winter. Like, I'm in like this weird dormant stage of, um, kind of, I don't know, I can't explain it, but like I just feel like, I don't know, I'm like, have I lost my mojo, or is this depression? Like, I mean, I'm kind of like wondering, like, is there a fine line between, I know usually when you lose your mojo, it's like usually a form of like expression, or, like you've kind of lost your, I want to say, desire or pull towards something in particular, maybe,
Yeah.
or not, whereas I guess depression, I guess is like the whole, I want to say the whole bucket. Like, you don't want to
Yeah.
do anything for anything.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes that might be a little bit of a mixed bag. But but for you, like, I mean, do you feel like that's every year? Or do you think like that's more of like from your personal years? Like, do you just want to skip past February every year? Like, it's
Most
just
years.
like, yeah, like, I don't know. I think for me, I'm like, when you said that, I'm like, oh crap, what is my shitty month? What is always, and I
Mm,
hate doing that because I feel like it's not every year, but like I always felt like March is kind of my, kind of like, nah, I don't know how I feel about you. You know,
interesting.
um,
Yeah.
March and August are always like weird months for me. Like, I want to say
Mm,
they've been a mixed bag. Like, when I
yeah.
look when I look back at like big, like, life change stuff.
Yeah. It's always in
You
March
know,
or
yeah,
August.
I'm trying to think. Um, I don't know. It's interesting because, like, I don't know. It's kind of a mix. It's a mixed bag because, like, my divorce, like, I want to say things started kind of falling apart in like March, April. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and then, you know, we didn't fully separate until October, but like it started, like, I want to say like the seeds of change like started happening around March
Around March.
and
Interesting.
April. Yeah. And then, I just remember like losing a really big job in March time.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just, yeah,
Which like,
there's been weird, there's been two really big, I want to say, career change shifts. One was September, one was March. So it's such a mixed bag for me. Like, I
yeah.
feel like I think it depends on your, yeah, I guess you have to look at like where your chart is, but also your numerology personal year.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what I was
I
gonna
feel like
say.
feeling like I'm wanting to look back and going, ooh, which number was that? You know?
Yeah, which like I think it's helpful to look, which I want to say I've actually worked really hard to not when February. I've actually, it's so funny to bring this up because I was literally thinking about this morning of like we're not anticipating that something horrible is going to happen in February, right? Because that's not always true either. But like, and I think I think any spiritual system, whether it's like seeing ourselves as seasons or seeing our, which for me, I use that more as like where I'm at internally rather than like predictive externally. Um, but I want to say like you could look at your personal astrology or your personal, yeah, your astrology and transits because like, let's just say like right now, I know, like Uranus is about to enter Gemini in March and it's going to be there for the next, I think, till 3030 or 2033. And like that's a revolutionary planet. So like my life's about to undergo a shit ton of change over the next 7 years. But
Yeah.
like Uranus wasn't in where it is. It's never been in that spot like in my life. So I
Hmm.
don't have a reference point for what that transit might bring in or might change or might shift as far as like, again, like the way that life plays out. So I would say like I wouldn't necessarily say like that seasonal view is the end all be all of like when certain things will happen or when we're going through certain phases because I think the astrology plays a role. I think your personal your numerology plays a role. I think like I would even say like I view like almost like Saturn return. Like if you're in a Saturn return, like I kind of see that as like all bets are off. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like anything, it's a very volatile time. Or like I even view like personal, like certain shifts, like again, my mentor like focuses a lot on like the feminine aspect of spiritual development. And she'll talk about like what I want to say is I think it's kind of like your second Saturn return kind of lines up usually with like menopause. And like I view that as nothing short of an initiation. So I think what life might look like when you're in an initiation period of life or where you're in another form of like a deep awakening might look really different than what I want to say is like maybe a period of years where things are a little bit quieter might look. So, but again, I think it's like we're
I'm
still
like,
going
go
through our
ahead.
own internal seasons, I think to some degree, but I don't think that that necessarily means that like that every massive change is going to happen in that same time frame every year. I've just
Yeah.
noticed the pattern for me. But other big changes have happened in other periods of my life, right? Like, reconnecting with family. I did that in November, or like, there's all these like I could point to a bunch of like big events that have happened. I just noticed like there's a pretty significant pattern of really like like path altering changes happening and it's always something falling away that's ready to be released that happens in February, which is the beginning of my fall. So and
Yeah.
I've only really noticed that since I started tracking, like paying attention to my seasons, but it's always been
Yeah.
like that. So I don't know. I wouldn't say it's the end all be all by any means.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny when you were talking about, being in your feminine and menopause. In no way does that feel like an initiation. It just feels like, unless it's like an initiation into hell.
Exactly.
That's
So
like
it's
awful. Anybody who's like been through menopause, it's just, I feel like as women, it's like, haven't we been through enough? You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
like, come on, it's kind of crazy. But anyway, I don't want to go off on menopause because I could talk about that for an hour. But, but yeah, it's so interesting because, you could, and it's like, I'd have to look really quick on how to, for anyone to look at like what your personal year is in numerology, like how to create that.
Yeah.
It's a really easy mathematical formula. You could actually just ask Chat GPT to give you your personal year, of what year you're in, but then also ask like the last 10 years of like, so you can kind of see,
Hmm.
you know, what big changes in your life during those years, what personal year you were in.
Hmm.
And then you can recognize the patterns. And for me, like, I felt like that was really significant.
Yeah.
But like, the energy feels very, very different for me right now. And I think I was sharing with you the other day about, I just feel like I've been standing in a fog.
Yeah.
And then my guides had said, well, when I was sitting in meditation, my guides were like, well, how beautiful. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? You know? And it's
Yeah.
the same thing with like the standing in the trees. It's like, it's like fog lifts. Like that's beautiful. Like it's, if you were standing in a room with no doors or windows and it was a brick wall, it'd be a little bit more of a
Hmm.
block,
Yeah.
but fog lifts and things change, and a
Hmm.
lot of times I feel like, when we're in that space where we feel like we're losing our mojo, or we just don't feel like we just don't feel connected to anything, or we don't see a direct path in front of us, we just feel a little lost.
Yeah.
I it's like, I want to say the spiritual side of me, there's that flip side of the human side and the and the spiritual side. The spiritual side of me says, all right, clearly I am preparing for the next stage, you
Hmm.
know. And I want to say usually it never comes in like a big boom, aha.
Mm-mm.
It's usually like small little steps. And,
Yeah.
for me, I've just really haven't been in my own personal power or my own energy. I've just been kind of like just trying to, I mean, anybody who has listened to the podcast, it's like the first time I'm living with someone, since my divorce, and which was like over 12 years ago.
Hmm.
So when you're independent that long and then you're sharing your life, it's like trying to figure out, you know, how to get maintain your own personal energy and also share a space. So I feel like I've lost a little bit of that, and I have to kind of, figure out a way. Like, so when I was traveling for work in Charleston, like I really didn't want to go to the beach. Like when I got up in the morning, and it was by myself and Patrick didn't come with me. And I shared, I was like really grateful for that time alone. Um, and I kept feeling this nudge to go to the beach. And I know I'm probably repeating
No, no,
myself
no.
because you
Share it.
heard
Share
this
it.
already. So I really felt this nudge to go to the beach. And there's a part of me, like, again, like, I want to say that inner child, almost like, I don't want to go to the beach. Like, it's just like, it's 20 minutes out of my way, like a whole 20 minutes. Like, how often am I 20 minutes from the ocean anymore? And, you know, I kept feeling that little nudge. And, um, and then as there was twofold, two things that bring me joy: going to the beach and taking pictures. As anybody who ever follows any of my social media knows, I'm obsessed with photography. So as soon as I started going to the beach, first of all, I think I shared with you, like, it was foggy. It was like crazy foggy, which just made me laugh because I kept feeling this nudge to go. And then I saw the fog, and then I saw the fog lifting and all the sun coming through. And I was like, okay, spirit, I hear you, and I
Hmm.
get there and I'm just able to I was just in heaven.
Yeah.
I just kept saying thank you, thank you, thank you over and over and over again, because it was just the most beautiful kind of sun peeking through the fog, the ocean, the salt. It was just delicious on every account.
Hmm.
And it was one of those things where, and we could talk about this too, it's like when you're in that space where you feel like you're in a fog, you almost feel like, hey, are my guides even still around?
Yeah.
They almost feel like they go quiet, you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
and I'm like, hey, like, I still see the signs, you know what I mean? It's like, I shouldn't say that, because like I normally, and I told you, like every time I get in my car, like I always see like three numbers on a license plate or something. Like I didn't get that on the way down, and I was a little disappointed in my God's not sharing, or my angel's not sharing that. But so it's like wondering, like, hey, are you around? Like, are
Yeah.
you around to me? And I feel like it's like, hello, we gave you that nudge. Like the
Yeah.
nudge was like us saying, hey, you'll feel really amazing if you go to the beach. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's where our guides come in, when you don't feel like they're there, but they're just kind of that little birdie in your ear.
Yeah.
When you are in that, I want to say, when you feel like you've lost your mojo, or I don't know, you just are kind of in the fog, you don't want to direction. It always comes in like little tiny itty bitty pieces. And it's the same thing with that nudge when I got back to go see the monks doing the walk for peace.
Yeah.
You know, I was exhausted. I had a really, really long week, but I felt like this pull to go see the monks, and I'm so glad I did. Like it was just the most beautiful experience. So, anyway, but do you feel like it's like sometimes when you're in that space where you just feel like you're in a little bit of a fog, or you're not sure what your next steps are? Do you feel sometimes like your spirit guides are like just disappeared off the planet? Like I do.
Yeah.
Like, hello. Unless
Yeah.
I'm like really sitting in like a deep meditation and I'm like, and I get all Ray from Star Wars. I don't know if you've seen the like most current Star Wars,
Uh-uh.
where it's like she's calling in all of the Jedi Knights and she's like saying, she's like, be with me. Like it's just be
Yes.
with me. You
Oh, that's actually really
know?
sweet.
I know. Love that scene in the movie. I must have every time May the 4th, I will always post that video clip where it's just like she just calls in all of the Jedis to kind of like, like just pull in all the power of the Jedis. And she's like, be with me, be with me. And sometimes I do that before my readings. I'm like, be with me, be with me. But sometimes it's like, okay, my meditations have been like really crappy. Like as far as like actually dedicating time, I have been off. My mojo's just been off all over the place, but
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's just the energy on the planet or if it's just my little world. But
No, I mean, I've felt off. And again, I feel like definitely like I know you and some of my other friends have definitely been hearing me say like I'm in this weird limbo in between liminal where I'm not really inspired. And like right now, it's funny because like as you were talking, there were a few things that came to mind. I was actually working on some tarot cards that I'm making today, and I was like basically like I'm putting little blurbs on the bottom of them to like just kind of be like, what's the main takeaway? And it's funny
mhm.
because they were, as you were talking, I felt like my guides were showing me the blurb I wrote for the moon and the blurb that I wrote for the Three of Swords. And so like the moon was like when you feel the fear, like trust in your ability to navigate the unknown. And there's like a little bit of like, kind of like, I think that's to me, like when you're talking about the fog, to me, it's like it's the moon card. It's where it's not all
Yeah,
illuminated yet. And we're just kind of having to keep like walking one step at a time without knowing where it's all going to go. But it doesn't mean we're disconnected. If anything, it's like, I always see the moon card as kind of like, sometimes when the lights get turned off is when and as I'm saying that it's funny because I know we're wrapping up the year of the snake, but like I'm seeing a snake and it's like sometimes when the lights go out or the fog is there, it's actually like how we learn to what I would call being like keeping our bellies close to the ground. Like it's kind of like where you get really like in tune with the subtleties because it's like everything else goes quiet so that you can tune in to something even more subtle because it's going to stand out a little bit more if like again with that three of swords that they were bringing up for the three of swords it was kind of like just being mindful of almost where we put mental resistance on a situation. So it's almost like because and I get it because I do the same thing and I'm definitely like in that space right now where it's like, because I feel uninspired and because we live in hustle culture and because of, just all of the narratives that are behind us all the time. Like again, that's why I love the like seeing ourselves as nature or as seasons. Like cuz like even then you could go into like not only do we have seasons, we have fucking weather. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
we're having a rainy week, right? So it's like it doesn't make it a like I'm like what I want to say is I think sometimes because there's almost like a resistance to where we are that almost like floods our like because we think we shouldn't be in the fog or we think that we're missing something because there's fog or we think that we like haven't figured something out because there's fog versus going right now there's fog and like but again it's like it like I think that's a forever like journey for us to figure out how we give ourselves permission to be in the fog without needing it to like what I would say is necessarily even mean something. Do you know what I mean? Or like produce a better outcome, which I do think those seasons still have value. And it's like maybe where our mojo is like it might not look like what we might term as mojo, but what if it looks like what I want to say is like sometimes in the I'm trying to think of a good example of it, but like Okay, like the example that's coming to mind for me is last year for 2025. I pick a word of the year every year.
Hmm.
Last year for me, it was attunement. I chose that word thinking that it was going to be like all my psychic skills are going to go to the like Ninja Turtle level. You know what I mean? Like I thought I was going to go
Yeah.
like crazy, like attuned to like other dimensions and UFOs. And like I thought it was going to go that way.
Hmm.
But what actually ended up happening is in 2025, like I actually had a lot of breathing room. And that what I ended up attuning to doesn't look like Mojo on the outside. Like none of it translated to anything that looks even remotely impressive outside of me. But inside of me, it's like all of that space kind of, I think attunement showed up, like to your point, not as fireworks, but as these subtle little shifts in me. Like I feel like I got more attuned to who I am so that I
Yeah.
recognize the things in my life that are for me. And I was willing to let go of the things in my life that weren't for me. So, like, I'm a little more willing to have hard conversations by the end of the year than I was at the beginning of the year because I'm more attuned to that subtle how I feel. So, like, and
Yeah.
again, do I think over time that attunement will produce something really beautiful and like is a really valuable skill? Hell yeah. And did it show up the way I thought it would? And I think if you would have asked me throughout the year, there probably would have been pieces of me that would have been resistant to allowing that attunement to take place in the way that it actually needed to because I had in my head a different like idea of it. So I almost think like sometimes when I feel like my guides, when I feel, and again, I'm in that space right now where I like, and again, I think we've done these cycles so many times where I'm like, I know they don't go anywhere. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
And
on the mental level, they don't, but I want to say like, there's a piece of me that I think is trying to keep in my awareness, like, they haven't disappeared, but there's something in me that is what I want to say is resistant to my current discomfort. And in that kind of blocks, not blocks, but like maybe isn't fully open to my channel of receiving because there's a little part of me that's almost kind of like protecting or guarding or bracing
Mhm.
against where my life is right now. And if you think about like when we go into a reading, like you get the messages when you fully relax into what's there. And so I think like I don't know that they disappear. I actually think it's possible for your guides to be just as present with you during those foggy seasons. And I also think it's totally it's almost like you know how like when you sorry, I'm totally rambling, but I had so many thoughts as you were
That's
talking.
okay. No, that's
Um
okay.
but like, you know how like when you go through your awakening, there's like this almost necessary period of like kind of being on your own and being in your own energy for a while because like if someone else were to be there with you, it would take away from your process of building relationship with yourself. Like
Yeah, no, I get that.
I
Yeah.
think sometimes when we're in the fog, and again, if like the point of those foggy or like someone turned off the lights moments is to help us hear ourselves more clearly, because I do think our guides are big on like the you are the like the sovereign free will like creator of this life. Like it is your gift. I think one of their like most like utmost promises is we're here to help, but we will not run it for you because that is your gift. Like we're not going to unwrap it for you, right? So I think sometimes I think like I don't think they pull back anymore, but I do think there might be periods where they get a little quieter because we're learning a different level of attunement to ourselves or to our inner knowing, or even just like again, if like it's almost like the kid whose parent like jumps in every time they're in trouble, like that's going to grow up to be an adult who doesn't trust themselves to make any decisions and feels paralyzed every time something goes sideways.
Yeah.
So I almost feel like our guides sometimes almost do the same thing. Like they help us, they almost like kind of let us drown a little bit so we can show ourselves we can learn how to swim. Because if they throw us a life raft and are constantly coaching us through it, then we're always looking for someone else to tell us what to do in a way, which
No,
I
and I
fall
think
into that
that's
trap.
yeah, and I it's funny because and I know this is probably like for anyone listening, like a really silly thing, but like something simple for me of like getting the nudge to go to the beach and that resistance on, I want to say the human side of myself
Mhm.
going, I really don't want to. And I mean, the power of choice. I could have chose not to go.
Yeah.
And then I probably would have regretted it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just a small little thing, and it's so funny. It's like, I know you and I were talking about this, how Bashar always says, you know, like when you're in alignment to your passion, like nothing, like that's your purpose, and or it's just like, or bring it, or your alignment to your joy. And I know my guides have said that too. Like when you're in
Yeah.
alignment to your joy or the things that bring you happiness, then you're in this space of like, where you're supposed to be. You know what I mean? But when I'm resistant to that because I've just been in a space or in a fog and I'm getting that little tiny nudge,
Yeah.
like to do something that I know will bring me happiness, but I'm just, maybe it is a little bit of depression mixed in with, just not knowing where I'm at or, just wherever my brain is in that moment. But making that small move
Yeah.
for myself, for that small piece of joy or happiness shifts. It's like it's that little pebble, it's that little pebble in the pond.
Yeah.
And I think that's like one of those things where, and my guides had reminded me too, because when I did sit in meditation the other day and I had said I was back to the fog, I was in that human mindset again, like where I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm in this fog. And they're like, yeah, but you went to the beach
Yeah.
and you went and you did that for you because it brought you joy. And you went and saw the monks for peace, and that brought you so much joy. Like you did that for you.
Yeah.
So, it's when I think we take those little, and it's easy, again, it's easy for me to sit in meditation, converse with my guides who sometimes I feel like, hey, you're not there, but I feel that, or I feel that message. Or I'm just in my head as a human,
Hmm.
going like, because I feel like I should, to your point, like, what did you call it? Like the uh, hustle culture
Hmm.
of like, I always feel like I should be doing something or what's next,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
versus, and I know you and I've talked about this before, where it's like, I feel like maybe 2026 is more just like deepening what I got
Hmm.
versus like feeling like I need to expand. It's more like, um, kind of reaching in with where I'm at now and kind of, I want to say kind of like strengthening the foundation versus trying to feel like I have to always be in expansion mode,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Which I mean, I think, and again, I think we have the real disservice of
I
being
kind
in
of was
a
all over the place with that. So it's
no,
like,
I'm really actually
yeah,
glad you said that because I think like there's such a beautiful point to be made in that because like I think we have such the disservice of living in a culture that doesn't value depth. And I think that like what I want to say is like as you were talking, like I was kind of thinking of like, let's just say it's like, a romantic partner you're with. I think it would be so much more meaningful. Like when I think about like when you're talking about like your year of deepening, like it's literally building, reconstructing, revisiting, re engaging in a conscious way of building relationship to yourself, which like I think is so beautiful because I think sometimes we see it as like almost like, and I do the same thing where it's almost like to build that relationship with ourselves almost feels like another like work or like hard or like we've got to do all this deep healing. But sometimes it's really like when I think when you were talking, like the thing that just came to mind for me was like almost the way it would like if I had a romantic partner who said, you know what, we've been like going through it and feeling a little wobbly. Like, I just want to reinvest in building a foundation with you and show up for the little things and just be more present with you and just like hear you and just like a partner who could really just say, my only goal right now is to make us like feel invested in. That would touch me so much more than a partner who's like, hey, let's do more and let's expand our life and let's, you know what I mean? Like, it's like to me, the
yeah,
depth of love that's present in the deepening process versus the
yeah,
expansion process, which is why I think sometimes we have to contract before, like, it's like that's the nature of the universe is contraction and then expansion. Because, like, I think that expansion comes as a natural outpouring of the real riches, which is the depth of something, you know? Like when I think of like even and again, not to say like suffering or hardship is the essence of expansion, but like I don't know, like our friendship has gotten deeper over the years because we've been with each other through some shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we've
No.
seen each other's mess and we've seen each other be in the mud and we've seen each other like grieve and we've seen each other hurt and we've seen each other heartbroken. You know what I mean? And we've seen each other at our expansion and at our celebrations and at our all of that. So it's actually kind
Yeah.
of like, whereas if all we had done is celebrate together, I don't think our relationship would be half as beautiful as it is. Because that it's like our
Yeah.
foundation was actually built in how we held each other during the harder moments. But again, I think it's like it's our frame of mind that in some way the act of deepening is less fun or less exciting or less like I want to use the word like sexy. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. Like, if my partner was like, I just want to like deepen with you and like, just like really get in there and like get to know you all over again and like really spend time, like, that'd be the hottest thing on the planet. Do you know what I mean? Versus if they're like, oh, if it was all just about like, let's do the new thing or like, let's buy a new house or whatever. Do you know what I mean? That would hit something. But without that deepening, like, I'd be like, oh, I'm right. I guess that's cool. But like, I actually think the
Yeah.
deepening process has so much potential. And like, again, when I feel the core of like how much love is available and like not just like oh love like I'm talking real deal fucking roots love
Yeah.
that's in
No,
that deepening,
you're absolutely right. I think
but we're taught to undervalue it. Like
it's
it's so
very
hard to wrap our
true.
mind around how meaningful that process is.
It's also I think difficult to, I mean, discover like where your starting point is
Yeah.
with the deepening. I think sometimes where that's where the fog comes in, and where, like, well, how do I start that? Or momentum, like even giving yourself momentum to, like what would make you, I don't know, step in that direction of deepening what you've got, in the here and now.
Yeah.
Versus, I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things where, like, if I said, I wanted to deepen my, well, if I wanted to deepen my connection with my guides,
Mm-hmm.
not just myself, that would require me to meditate on more more consistently, you know. And I feel like, that's one of those things where it's like, okay, you know, even if it's like once a week you're doing it where you weren't doing it once a week, or you
Mm-hmm.
know um or every other week, but you're kind of, you're revving those, I want to say, um my guides are saying you're putting a spark to the fire,
Yeah.
you know um for yourself, not just for your connection with your guides in my case,
Mm-hmm.
because that's something that I'm wanting to deepen,
Yeah.
is my connection with my guides. So that would require me to meditate more consistently, which I have not been doing. So, yeah, I just, I don't know where I'm going. I feel like I'm kind of talking in a little bit of circles, but um, what are we talking about?
Well, and I think
I
to your
feel, I
point,
feel like,
like, I think
listen
that
to me. I was like, I just totally like spaced just now. It's
it's
like, I know I had a point, and then like, did I just lose it? But anyway, go ahead.
no. Well, I was just gonna say, like, I think too, it's like we have it in our head that it has to be like all or nothing versus like I
Yeah,
remember like
yeah,
maybe 8 months ago, I just decided like, and I did get really consistent about it for a while, but it's because it felt good. I now, because I used to be like, I need to meditate. But you know what? Most of the time sitting down in like, oh, meditation music and like closing my eyes and shit, like I fall asleep. I don't actually
yeah,
like my back hurts. I fall asleep. I'm bored as hell. My mind's too busy. Like it wasn't working for me. So rather than being like there's something wrong with me and I must be doing it wrong, I'm like, well, what does sound fun? What sounds
Yeah.
like that, where is their joy aligned with an act that to your point sparks the fire? So then I started just every night before bed pulling some cards and just journaling on it a little bit. And I noticed like, oh my God, that felt so good. I noticed that like I just kind of felt like I was ending my day on such a good note. I felt really optimistic about my life because I made a point to like when I'm journaling, yes, I'm gonna journal like all the things that like are going on in my mind and I'm gonna like and of course, like your guides will talk to you too, like they intermix
Hmm.
into there. So like I was building a relationship with them through like what the cards would tell me, and then I would leave my own thoughts, but I would always end it with like some kind of like encouraging note to myself. Like let's say it was one that was like, man, I'm trying to control the situation. And then like I might end that journal on like wow, like when I look at it, like I can really trust myself to navigate whatever comes. So I don't really need to control it. And I'm just gonna try and breathe a little bit more into letting myself relax. And I would end my day that way. But like it wasn't this like regimented, strict thing. And now I don't necessarily, there is definitely nights that I don't do it, but like when I do, it feels really good. So I think it's kind of like, again, like we're not these like, there's no pass or fail. And I also think it's funny, I was just doing a reading for a friend 2, 3 days ago. And my guides reminded us that like one of the greatest gifts, like there are so many people that never see the world through the eyes that we do. And again, it's not to say we have the best way of living for those that don't buy into this or that don't see it this way. But like I just find the fact that I view my world through a spiritual lens like just increases my joy exponentially. Like we always think like because we were talking about like her gifts and the way she wants to grow and build them in a professional way. And my guides came through and were just like, don't forget that like what you do with it professionally is kind of like the cherry on top, but like the meat and potatoes was to open your eyes to seeing the world this way. And like you got it. Like what a beautiful fucking gift it is just to be able to perceive the world the way that you do and to see magic in things that other people just look over, to like look at mountains and feel like an emotional connection to it, or to like there's so many people that don't open up to being feeling connected to anything. So like the fact that you can
Yeah.
even go through your life seeing an angel number on a license plate and go like, wow, I just felt so supported, or I feel the magic that's available here, or I feel the connection, or I feel like what I would call like spiritual truth here. Like a lot of people
Yeah.
don't like they kind of like always they were reminding us like that's the real gift, not our like which again our skill sets might be something we want to develop, but they're like but they were telling both of us like just have fun with that part. Like you already did the
Yeah.
hard work to like see the world in this way. And that's invaluable. So it's kind of like again, we always think like, well, the next thing is better or I'm failing if I'm not there. Versus they were like, what if we've already like checked something really extraordinary off the list? And now everything else is just sprinkles on top. Like it's just the fun we want to have now, you know?
Yeah.
So I
And
found that
and there's go
helpful.
ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, it's interesting because, I find that, you know, where I feel like, I don't know, our are in alignment, or, to the things that bring us joy, going back to all of that. And as well as like the skill sets of being a medium or a psychic or whatever. But, I found that, when I discovered um, graphic design, let's just say.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always knew I wanted to be in the field of art. Like ever since I was little, like I like if I wasn't drawing on my mom's walls, it just I've always been drawn to art. But then when I discovered graphic design, I was like, I want to do this all the way. So like I applied to all the art schools in New York, and so like I was able to check off a lot of boxes with that, and
Mm-hmm.
that was like one of those things where I feel like it's like when you listen to a part of yourself that's like, yeah, this feels really good, like
Mm-hmm.
you just go. Like I feel like it doesn't even require discipline. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's like feel like sometimes it's like, oh, this is like, it's funny because when I sit down and meditate, to your point, like when you journal, I love the way I feel when I meditate because I feel the most connected.
Yeah.
Like I feel the energy, I feel, sometimes, most of the times, I feel my guides come in, you know what I mean? I can just go off on like anywhere.
Yeah.
um so but the thing is like I'm like I don't wanna, like there's that little
Hmm.
5-year-old kid that just doesn't want to sit down and meditate, and I'm like, why am I not? It's kind of the same thing. It's like going to the gym. It's like I feel amazing when I go to the gym, but I'm resistant. And there's a little bit of like that kind of, I feel like it's like people have said, it's not a top priority if you're not doing it, or if it's not something that's you're in
That's hustle
alignment, if you're
culture.
not there, it's hustle culture, right? Um, but it's like so interesting. And the same thing with like mediumship and everything. And I remember when I started feeling energies around me, I'm like, I want to know. Like I just
Yeah.
couldn't, it didn't scare me to turn me the other way, going, oh, this is like, I don't want this. Like, I just, as where for some people, that would be just like, I'm not interested,
Yeah.
you know. And when I was a kid, yeah, it scared the crap out of me. I was the kid under my blankets.
Yeah.
But, as an adult, I was like, ooh,
Tell
like
me
this is
more.
pretty. Tell me more. Next thing you know, I've got a stack of like 20 books by my bed,
Hmm.
and I'm meditating 3 times a day because I'm just like, I just want to be I didn't
Yeah.
even want to be human. I just wanted to be connected to the spiritual world for like all
Yeah.
day, you
Yeah.
know. Um, and I feel like it's like, and I think maybe that's what I'm feeling like I've lost. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, and I think the big myth we've been sold is and especially what I want to say is I think we have to be careful with like what I would say is like, and again, I love them, but like some of the channelers and like the like manifestation coaches and things like that will
Hmm.
talk about like feeling, just be in alignment to your passion and your joy. But I think if we have to rely on life to feel good in order to feel connected, then like we're kind of already set up to fail because not everything in life is always going to feel good and inspired and
Ah, throw
you
logic
know
at me. Go ahead.
which
Yeah.
no, it's not even like, but I get it because like there's a side of me
No,
that's
that's so
always like,
true. It's so true.
I must be
Yeah.
ill-aligned because I'm not inspired right now. Or like this is just the season I'm in and I'm still connected and like, but like my joy isn't right here right now. My joy isn't, and again, maybe it's like, and I also think we put such an emphasis on like it's funny what keeps coming up for me is the sunflower that's on the Queen of Wands card because it represents
Hmm.
that like she knows how to like turn to look for the sun. So it's not always going to be right in front of us, which doesn't mean I think there's such a difference in or like hummingbird medicine represents like knowing things to return to that bring you joy. And this could be like maybe like right now during this season where my career is a little bit harder to find joy in. It might look like lately my joy has been like just playing with my dog or like turning on my
Yeah.
Christmas lights that are still up, halfway through January. So like where I'm just like, ah, soft glow. Like or like there's other ways to find joy or like there are little things we can do and I think the big myth is that that's not allowed to be enough or that those little sparks of joy aren't enough to align us with like what I'm gonna say is greater sparks of joy. But I think if we rely on always because and it's funny because usually we're talking about like well when I first got into all of this and like my interest was peaked and I was like tell me more, I can't wait to meditate and get in there and see what happens. It reminds me of my friend recently treated a big group of his friends to like a really nice like fancy house stay in Joshua Tree. When we first walked in, this place was a mansion. And like I was like, oh my God, it's amazing. Blah, blah, blah. Girl, 6 days
Yeah.
after living there, I was like, I'm used to it. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't and like how quickly our standards adjust to like something that was once like absolutely amazing is now the baseline. Like I think that's normal human behavior. And I think that's the part of us that gets us where it's like we are all always searching for that rush versus understanding like we're acclimating and where we like again where we are is fine. And that's where I feel like they kind of give us the like again if we were to be like holy shit like when I see an angel number at the right time. Or like I was just in the car with a friend the other day and she's heard our podcast where I talk about how purple cars are something that are a confirmation for me. We were
Hmm.
talking about something and as I said that, we drove past a driveway that had a bright purple minivan in it. And we were both like,
Mm.
purple car! Like freaking out because like those little moments of confirmation, like we're allowed to get just as excited about those now as we used to, but we tend to just be like,
Mm.
"Oh yeah, it happens all the time." But it doesn't mean it's any less amazing. We just don't let ourselves lean
Yeah.
into it because we've acclimated. And I think it's also like, okay, so I've acclimated. It doesn't mean that like my mojo's gone. It just means like my bar for like wah wah wee wah has gone like maybe a little higher because like magic is so, and I think that's what we miss is like that amazing, those amazing confirmations and those amazing moments are actually so like littered throughout our life that it's almost like we're going like, I feel disconnected. But I was just telling a friend this morning, like, I was like, I'm not really, mediumship isn't my strong suit, da 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 da. Da. And then I was telling her about the weekend I just had where I did like 6 mediumship reads and got so much crazy evidence. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? But
Yeah.
like, we need someone to almost be like, what are you talking about? You don't like, and I know you just told me a couple of weeks ago you had like a great reading. Like, so your mojo's there. You're just not, I mean, I think you're just in a transitionary moment of like, think again, like almost like one foot in one version of yourself and one foot in the other and going, where am I at? Which,
Well,
but that's not a
yeah, and
bad place to be, but we judge it, which is what makes it feel so unsatisfactory.
it's so true about the judging part because I feel like there's and this could just be where my state of mind is too with like the whole mojo and the fog and then it there's parts of me and I'm just going to say it out loud where I was like, do I still want to be a psychic medium?
Hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? And then and and I hate that I keep quoting Bashar, but like he's in my head
Yeah.
of
He's
like
brilliant, by the way. I was
you
not poo-pooing
my
him.
god, I love Bashar, but where it's like when you align with your joy you take it as far as you can, and I've been in that space where I'm like, have I taken it as far as I can? Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of
Mhm.
like when you're at a job for 10 years, you're just like, it's kind of like, I think it's kind of time for me to go, and it's one of those things where, you kind of feel like you're standing at a crossroads and going, not so much like I need to like jump and make a leap, but also just like, where am I going with this? Like it's like I kind of, you do feel like you're in a little bit of a rut.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where the fog is, or like, am I doing enough? Am I in alignment to my purpose? All of these things get rushed through your head, even though I could probably sit down, journal, and go, oh, all right, I know where I'm supposed to be right now,
Yeah.
ish.
But that's the human
But
process.
I mean, it's really, I want to say unsettling to be in that space of going,
Yeah.
is this it? Like,
Yeah.
is there any more for me to do here?
Yeah.
And like, um it's funny because like I sat with this a little bit with my guides and I was like, I would love to do this like, like this deeper channel or this like, like that, the kind of be with me, but like I want to say a deeper merge of
Hmm.
me and spirit. And, my guides are like, if you didn't do that right away, then you're gonna really stop what you're doing. You're really gonna stop doing like reads or whatever. It's like, no, not really. Then they're like, so you don't have to worry about like whether that comes or not. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just trust that like what you're supposed to be doing is what you're supposed to be doing. But it is like that. I want to say it feels like that deep pondering question of like, have I hit that wall? Like, am I done here? And that was a really scary
Question.
thought for me
Yeah.
because and it's so funny because I remember a reading I had many years ago, and she's like, your guides are like, you agreed to this. You agreed to come here and do this. And I'm just like, well, what if I'm not feeling it right now? Like, are you like, am I going to be like,
Tortured.
is this the end of my contract? Like, are you just going to fizzle me out? You know what I mean?
No.
I mean, it's horrible that your brain goes there, but like, I
Yeah.
mean, I just don't, that's where I feel like there's like a flip of the coin or like a yin and yang with being a spiritual person because, or someone who's awakened because you're always like wondering about that deeper level of like consciousness of like, should I be doing this or should I be doing that? Or like, am I in alignment more this way or am I doing the right thing? And that's where too. And at the same time, it's like, I'm not being present. I'm too much in my future or I'm in my past and I'm not in the now,
Mhm.
which, it's like, bring it in, girl, bring it in, reel it in, sit down, like get grounded,
Yeah.
anyway, I'm just rambling on
No.
this, but
Well, and I feel like to the point of some of the things you said, like I actually think it's really important. Like I was just thinking like I'm like a marriage that's been together for 20 years might hit a point where they go, "Do we still want this?" Right? And
yeah.
it doesn't mean that it's ending, but it might mean that maybe we're changing the way we relate to that concept or maybe the marriage needs an adjustment to accommodate who we've become. So maybe it's not like I think it's important to ask those questions of like, do I want to be a psychic medium anymore? For a number of reasons. A, because you're a different version of you than you were when you started doing it the way you're doing it now. So, like,
Oh,
the way you
huge.
relate
Yeah.
to this role or that title might have changed drastically, almost like in a way that we didn't even realize. So, I think when that
Mm.
question comes up, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're falling off of it. I think it's just kind of almost a way to check in around, like to the point of Bashar, like, I want to say, and again, it's totally human, but like everything you're bringing
Yeah.
up around it was very much like the mind and like being in the head about it versus
I
it's kind of
know.
like, wait, when I do readings, I still feel joy. But the part that I want to say is like, I don't think it's um necessary or even wise to ignore the part that might be feeling hesitant about it now because I think that part is saying, well, there's something that's shifted in my alignment around it. It may not mean I'm giving it up completely, but it might mean that my relationship to it is changing or the way I want to do it is changing or my conscious relationship with this skill set has shifted somehow. Like I know I've told you that I'm feeling the pull away from the title of reader. Now, does that mean I'm giving up my intuitive skills? Hell no. But like those intuitive skills show up when I'm speaking, show up when I'm teaching, show up when we're podcasting. So,
Yeah.
like, I'm using it the same way, but in a slightly different form when we're in these spaces as I am when I'm doing one on one reads. So, I want to say my relationship to the way I do readings has changed so much since that first Spirit Fest where you and I shared a booth.
Yeah.
So, my identity around it has shifted and is in the process of, I think, a very significant shift. That doesn't mean that it's all like down the toilet, doesn't mean anything, or it doesn't bring me joy. But I think, like, as you deepen, to your point about this year, like, as you deepen, like, it's inevitable that your spiritual offerings are going to reflect that deepening and that you'll feel really uncomfortable until we're willing to kind of almost like what I'm gonna say is almost let it out of the box of what it's been to allow it to evolve into what it's becoming in a way that may shock and surprise us. But I think
Yeah.
it might look very different than what we expected, but I think would be even more fulfilling because it's going to allow a more seamless alignment with who we have become. So I
Mm.
think like there's like I want to say like everything I heard and what you were saying is more, and again I want to reflect like I feel like I'm in a like very similar like reevaluation
Hmm.
of what part and I think too it's like we might not always be able to find like our joy in it, but like I keep coming back to like again my identity as a reader might be shifting and I'm still doing readings because I'm in the in between, right? That's still where I'm at and I'm okay with it. But like I keep reaffirming to myself, like, I know I'm in the right field. Like, I know that this field is my passion. I know because I never get tired of it. We could talk about spiritual shit all day long and it never
Yeah.
gets old. So I'm like, that is my joy. That is my passion. Now I'm just kind of like feeling into where like my what I feel most inclined and excited about now. So it's kind of like if I can't find that niche like this is my mission or my joy, I just keep
Yeah.
reaffirming to myself like well, I know I'm in the right field. And like I kind of think of kids that have changed their college major a million times and can't make a choice. Like I'm like I know I'm in the right major. And that's a huge like win for me. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I think it's all kind of about again, like there's so much in allowing ourselves to be like, again, nature. Like the tree doesn't look the same year to year to year, right? Its roots spread a little differently, or like, and based on the weather, like it shifts the way the tree grows, or you know what I mean? So I think we're kind of the same, ever changing, like, and I think that's the most uncomfortable part. Because again, to my example with like a marriage, like one of the most uncomfortable things I think happens in a long-term like relationship is that you both change and evolve and grow, and then your marriage has to change and shift and evolve and grow in a way that accommodates the realities of who two very different people have become, and find a way to bridge that gap. And I think that's kind of like the same thing that I think asking those big questions of like, do I even want this anymore? I think there is an opportunity to be like, I don't. And, but I think usually when we're like, no, I don't, like, it's because something else is already kind of like in the ether that we might really be called towards. But I think when we're asking it, and we're going like, well, I don't know, but there's still parts that I love and I don't really want to leave it, but I'm not feeling as inspired. I think that's where like to like Abraham Hicks will talk about the sifting and the sorting. I think that's where we just get
Yeah,
really
no,
clear on what
I
aspects light
totally
us
get
up,
that. I totally get that.
rather
And
than
it's funny
throwing the
because
baby
like
out with the bathwater, you know, which is always the temptation for me. It's like the whole thing's
that's
wrong. And it's like, not
yeah,
necessarily.
I totally get that. The other thing is, and just on like, I want to say on the tail end of it too, part of it, I want to say for me, probably could be, where I didn't touch in is burnout,
Oh,
you know,
totally.
where you feel the fog and you feel I just don't want to do this, or like, I don't know where I'm going, or I just don't, you need a break.
Yeah.
And, mentally, as we're earlier, I had a little bit of brain fog. Part of that is menopause, bringing that up. Occasionally I get that little hit of brain fog where all of a sudden my brain just goes, "Boop, sorry." Love that so much. But, you know, and you've heard too, like me talk about, there's just been so much going on in my world between, working a full-time job, and then I was taking on a freelance job, and then, we had some health issues in my little bubble,
Yeah.
on top of just being going, and not being able to come up for air is also, I want to say, an indication of like a time for disconnect.
Yeah.
So I definitely, that's also a factor for anyone who's feeling like the fog. It's like, it's just also a little check in to go, where have you been at with everything? If you're burning the candle at both ends, like maybe that's just a time to kind of, a lot of times I'll sit with a client. I'm like, oh, you need to lock yourself in the bathroom with, your headphones on, candles lit, and a hot tub,
Yeah.
and, or a spa day, or, a walk in nature or something where you're able to kind of just reboot.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I think sometimes that's part of it. That's
Yeah.
part of it too.
I think for
But I,
sure.
but you definitely, you know, it makes a lot of sense. I think it's, I don't care how many years you've been on the spiritual journey, you're the human side of you is always going to get in there, sneak in, and
Yeah.
and your mind wanders, and you think of things. I mean, at the end of the day, to your point, like, I can't imagine me ever stop doing,
Hmm.
a read,
Yeah.
because they do bring me so much joy.
Yeah.
But like, do I want to do one right now? Probably not.
No. Well, and I think that's like
You
a big
know?
piece of burnout, especially with people in this profession, is like it's very service driven. And I actually like I know every time I say this, I feel like it's a very controversial thing to say in these circles. And I've gotten a lot
Mm,
of pushback on it, but I believe it wholeheartedly, where like I think if you don't want to be doing it right now, don't do it for the benefit of someone else. Like, you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like, and like I know like a lot of people want like, after work hours. Like I had a client that really wanted to do a session with me at like 8 o'clock at night. But I'm like, I don't like doing sessions that late because I'm tired and I deserve my evenings, right? Or like on occasion I might feel inclined to. But what I want to say is like I don't need to offer a million sessions. Like maybe right now what feels joyful is one a week. And that's
yeah,
what I have the bandwidth for. And it doesn't really matter if someone wants more. And it doesn't, and this sounds horrible, but It doesn't really matter if someone's hurting. Like, it's not my job to self-sacrifice. Like, I want to say there's like being, I think when the point becomes to the point of, I think what Bashar kind of gets at with you follow your joy and your passion, it's like if you're being of service and it's not in alignment to you, like kind of like if it's not independently joyful for you, you've already left your alignment. So to do the reading is going to take more than it's going to give.
Yeah.
So, and again, like I'm not saying you don't do nice things for people, right? But I think if you're kind of like, I'm tired, I've heard a lot of readers like, oh, I'm so tired, but I'm going to do it anyway. Oh, I'm so exhausted, but I've got to take this reading and I've got to like, because they feel bad letting other people down. And I think
Also, you have to
that's,
learn your energetic boundaries, for
yeah.
yourself. I
But
mean,
also, I
it's
think
people don't realize how much energy goes into a reading.
well, and I think the martyr service narrative is pretty
Yeah.
loud in this field where it's like, you know, if you can help someone, you should. Like, that's not always true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think, yeah, I think definitely energetic boundaries, but I think also like the part of us that like just feels like if we have it, we have to give it. And,
Yeah.
or if we can accommodate it, we should. And I'm like, no, like again, I love my evenings. I like, and I also don't want to wake up at the crack of dawn to get my mind awake enough to do a reading before 10 a.m. You know what I mean? So, like, I have very
No.
probably inconvenient hours, but the way I kind of frame it is like, would you expect your doctor to take an appointment with you at 8 p.m.? Why? Because you go, those aren't their hours, right? And I
Yeah.
kind of view readings the again, or if like I'm sick, or if I'm like I took the whole month of December off because I'm like the holidays are crazy and I don't really feel like fitting other people in there. Right? Like, and that was
Yeah.
like okay to do. But I know like, and I think a lot of us have to work through like the guilt of prioritizing our own joy over being of service to other people because we view joy as almost the secondary or like not a need. But to me, like my joy and my well-being and my passion and my keeping that fire lit, like is the priority. Because if
Well, and you
then no
don't
one's
end up
getting
not being of
anything.
yeah, I was gonna say you're not being of service to yourself, but you're also not being of service to other people. Cause I feel like
Hmm.
and when you said that, it's like doing a reading at 8. And I've shared like when I've done events,
Yeah.
people were like, can you start at 9? And I've done them.
Hmm.
But I'm doing like 15 reads starting at 9 o'clock at night.
Hmm.
And by like 11, I got nothing.
I'm dead.
Like the first hour, I'm good. But after that, I'm just like, I just can't. So I had to shift to your dog.
No, no, no. I'm laughing because
The-
the thought that went through my head is I'm not a stripper. These aren't stripper. This is I don't work stripper
the
hours. Like,
stripper hours. Oh my God, that's so funny. But yeah, I mean, that's like one of those things where I had to start creating energetic boundaries for not only for myself but also like I can't give someone a great read
hmm.
when I'm just spent. That's like too late for me
Yep.
to be doing a reading. So it's a combination of both, like this isn't serving me and this is not serving you,
Yeah.
and I most certainly, from a place of integrity and wanting to give someone the best possible reading, you know oh, hello, duckylicious. um I don't do it anymore. Like like if I I'll start at like 7 to like 9. That's like I can do that. That can work if I'm working an event. But like
Yeah.
anything beyond that is like too late.
Too much. Yeah.
Too
Which on
late. Too late.
occasion I'll feel a yes and I'll take something like that. Right. But like I
Yeah.
know to cap it out at like 4 straight hours of reads is kind of where I start to lose my mojo and it's where I start to feel drained
Yeah.
versus lit up. Or, and again, there's different seasons of my life. Like I might be feeling really fucking good during one season of 1 month of my life. Right. And be
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I'll bring it, bring it, bring it. Cause I'm lit up and I'm feeling great and I have
Yeah.
lots of excess energy. But then the next month I might be like, I'm not feeling like it. I'm feeling antisocial, or I'm kind of going through my own like emotional process right now, or I'm actually prioritizing travel, or I'm prioritizing something else. Because I truly believe that I don't even think in order to be truly of service to somebody else, I don't think you have to think about being of service to someone else. I think that you just get in alignment to your just most relaxed, happy And by happy, I don't mean like the superficial, like, oh, I'm happy. Like when I'm saying joy, it's like it's something that's deeper, right? It's like I actually feel nourished. I feel like I'm cared for. I'm like in my
Hmm.
alignment. I think the natural overflow of that and just how you feel called to move or work or be or speak, that is your service to other people. I don't
Yeah.
think it's the thing you have to like I need to think about how to be of service to somebody. Like I think it's just an innate like outcome or like a natural just like consequence of being in service and alignment to yourself. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, and I think that's where we kind of like, again, it's hard because this profession is very like, and also like a little bit of a praise kink on like, I like to hear that I'm helping people and I like to like
Yeah.
know that there's a positive effect to my work, which I think sometimes can feed the part of me that has been told that my job is to make other people happy or comfortable or like be there for others. When in reality, like, no, my job is to be there for me. And when I'm at my best, I naturally show up for other people in meaningful ways.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It doesn't have to be such a stretch, but I do think to your point, burnout is, I think I've found that to be one of the hardest things to navigate with this
Yeah.
profession for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm not working a full-time other job.
It takes time and experience, you know what I mean? To figure out where your boundaries are energetically. And that goes with any job, not even just as people who are, light workers or healers or, um, doing any form of energy work. It's really, I can't tell you how many readings I've done with clients where I'm just like, I just feel like whenever I see them, they're juggling 100 balls in the air,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and and I'll get spirit going. You need to reel it in. You need to reel it in. You're going to burn yourself out. So,
Yeah.
and that's where I feel like it's like this is where this has been really great. And I know we've been talking a long time.
Yeah.
So we've gone over
Our time.
our time frame for
Which
the
we'll
podcast.
just maybe we'll just
But this
skip
has,
titty bits for today.
yeah, maybe we'll skip titty bits. I think that's great.
Yeah.
But I feel like where this has been really helpful for me, it's like not that I feel like I'm walking away from this podcast with enormous amount of like I now know what I'm doing, you know what I mean? Or like the fog has lifted. But in many ways I feel like just talking it through, um, I feel lighter. So thank you
Yeah, absolutely.
for talking this through. And I feel like this is something that I'm sure I can't even imagine not again, having done readings for other people. And I don't doubt for 1 second that someone's like, oh my God, yeah, I've been there or I feel that or, you know,
Absolutely.
um, that's where I'm at. And I think kind of to summarize, I feel like it's like, yeah, just finding those little things that bring happiness or joy,
Hmm.
that don't need to be,
Big.
full on big, 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 but just
Hmm.
little pebbles in the pond,
Yeah.
just whether it is just taking yourself to the beach or going to get a manicure or whatever it is you need to
Yeah.
do. That's like, I'm doing this for me, just to give myself like, I'm like, I really love doing this. I'm going to do this for myself, or taking on something that does bring you joy, I think
Yeah.
is little ways to kind of get out of the fog and kind of reignite the spark a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think like I also just want to vocalize like I'm really glad that we talked about this like on this format because again, like I sorry, my dog is like very insistent he's going to be part of the podcast tonight. So if you hear him
I know.
breathing, he's closer to the mic than I am and he got a little bit of like spit on my microphone. I love that for me.
He's
Um
just
he's
he's
so
like,
cute.
I need some love. I
Hello.
miss him. I miss him.
Oh, I know
I
he's the
miss him.
best.
I got to
Little
spend some time with him over the holidays, so I feel very
duckaroni.
privileged. Yeah.
But I also think like, and again, like I think I would also just reiterate like there's no shame or issue with being somewhere in between or being in the I don't know. I think like and I think I'm glad we talked about it in this forum because I do think this is just like a universal human experience.
Oh
Um,
my gosh, yeah.
but also, like, one thing I've noticed a lot, and I think I'm very blessed because I have a lot of really, like, kind, trustworthy. friendships and
Hmm.
relationships. Like I know I've been saying to you for like months, like I feel a little lost or in between, or I, feel like I'm kind of like I think the word I've been using a lot is uninspired. So I've been also trying to like, instead of saying like I'm lost, like, which makes it feel like I can't find my way, I'll just say like I'm uninspired. Like there's nothing
Hmm.
that's sparking me. It's hard to like, I feel like I'm like sitting there trying to like rub two stones together and be like, come on, fire. But then once I realize
Yeah.
like maybe it's a fucking hot summer day and we don't need a goddamn fire. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm kind of trying to be in the like, so I'll find that the more I vocalize, like, I'm just feeling uninspired, it becomes like not as big of a deal. Like, I think there's so much power in saying things out loud to people who are like, that's okay, that's normal. And just kind of having it reaffirmed. Oh my God, my dog is losing his mind. Can you hear that?
No.
Okay, good. Um, Duck. Oh my God. He's like decided to dig a hole to Middle Earth behind me. But I'm finding that like having some friends that I can just be like, this is just where I'm at right now. And I'll say out loud, like, I'm really uninspired and nothing's really sparking me up. And, guess I'm a little scared. I'm not going to figure it out, but I've been here before. And so I'm just trying to trust that my job is to relax into acceptance of I'm uninspired right now. And this is
Yeah.
where I'm at, right? Which is one of the reasons why I reached out to you and was like, hey, like I had a dream that we did a podcast. And I was like, let's do it because whether or not this goes anywhere, like these are fun and I enjoy them and they're
Oh,
connective.
me too. Me too.
So I think it's kind of like, or like I just went and like plugged away at some stuff on Canva today that might go nowhere. But I was like, right now, it's the only thing that's kind of like, that sounds like it could be enjoyable. So I'm just kind of
Yeah.
leaning into, I might not be like, oh, I'm joyful about that. But
Yeah.
I'm just picking the thing that feels the most like I could get into that. And I think right now, like, I don't know, I'm finding peace in like letting that feeling be enough right now. Which again, I have to reaffirm like 500 times a day, like, this is okay. Like, this can be enough. It's not like I just wake up like, oh, that's enough for me. Like, I still have to kind of like reaffirm that. But I think speaking it out loud to you and to some other friends has been really helpful because it gets you out of your head and kind of just like puts it on the table so that you don't have to like carry it in your backpack,
Yeah.
So I'm really
No,
grateful for these
that's
spaces.
me too. I mean, and I don't want to just throw in another scenario in the pool or topic in the pool, but there's also too, like I feel like, sometimes when we're in survival mode for like a long period of time,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and when things start to calm, the water start to calm,
Mm-hmm.
you start spiraling because you don't know what to do with that.
Yeah. I think
I
there's a mix
don't
of
know. I don't.
decompression.
I don't know what to do with the calm. When
Yeah.
your life is crazy, 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 and then things start to settle, you're like, you feel like it should be in crazy.
Yep.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
We get comfortable in the
Um,
chaos and then the chaos
we
subsides
get
and we're like,
comfortable.
something's wrong. I better create it inside of
Something's wrong.
me.
I'm in fog because things are chaotic and crazy,
Yeah.
and I don't feel like I'm doing this, and I'm going there, and I'm going there, and it's like, you know, it's probably our soul going, you need to sit back in your chair,
Breathe. Yeah.
take a moment, hit the pause button,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's probably a large um dose of that for me. It's really hard for me from someone who goes nonstop all the time, and it's not that, I'm not doing that now. It just feels different. I'm just figuring it out. But it could
Yeah.
be just the beginning of another chapter, which I'm just preparing for that, which is
Yeah.
also another part of that,
Yeah. Which, like everything you
Um,
just said, I'm like, all I hear is the I don't know. The
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. And just kind of being like, well, fuck it. I just don't know. And just kind of
Yeah.
letting that be the truth of right
Enough.
now. And like letting that
Yeah.
be totally okay. And kind of almost like, I
I
don't know, I kind of
know.
like find myself wanting to almost kind of like a cynical sense of humor with it sometimes where it's like, oh, okay, fuck it, whatever. Who cares? I
I
remember that
know.
being such a last summer. I had such like an intense emotional moment and I kind of like of worry and fear about the future. And I just had to get to a place where I was like, who cares? And I remember Bashar said, if everything's working out for you, no matter what it looks like right now, then what the hell do you care what's happening? And and I just kind of remember loving that. what the hell do I care what it looks like right now? It's all fine. It's going my way. Like, you know what I mean? And I actually saw such an energetic shift around the thing I was worried about as soon as I kind of went into that like, who the fuck cares what it looks like right now? It's
It's
working
so
out for me, so who
true.
the fuck why do I fucking care?
I
Like,
forgot you shared that with me a while ago, and I think I needed to hear that today. So thank you.
yeah, the
Because
humor helps.
when I look at, it's like I could easily just like look at my present life and just with I every day, I wake up with gratitude. But like when I think about all the things, I'm doing everything that's in alignment to my joy as far as like both, both of my jobs, on the medium side and on the design side. Like I love what I do. I love what I do.
Yeah.
I'm in a beautiful relationship. I mean, I got all these things I can just check off all the boxes, and I'm just like, what's my problem? Because because I'm always going, all right, what else you got?
Yeah, but
Which is
I want
kind of
more.
like, but I want more,
Which is okay, but I
more,
think it's just not
you know?
creating the like
Yeah,
misery around. What does Abraham Hicks always say? Like once one desire is fulfilled, there will always be another one to follow it, and that's the nature of life. And we're supposed to learn to have fun with the process of as soon as I get what I want, a new desire is created. But we think like, why
I
can't I
know.
just be satisfied? And it's like what if we can be satisfied and want more? Like what if? And I think like it's again
A
like
lot of people would think that's boring though. Like that's where people get like I feel like there should be something else. Like okay,
yeah.
I've checked off all these boxes and then you're standing there in the middle of a room going, "What do I do now?
Yeah. Which
What do
like
I do now?"
and that's the thing
But
is
it's
you're going,
not a
but at the
horrible
same time you
thing.
have other desires, which is why you're going like, how do I get there? What should I be doing? Because there's a
Yeah.
desire that maybe we're just not conscious of. Like there will never come a
Yeah.
time that we don't have a desire, ever. You know what I mean? Like, and I've heard some relationship coaches say, as soon as you get your dream relationship, guess what? There will be something that you want to change within it. Like there will always be something you desire. And so like the relationship coaches I follow talk about and they're like all about like sacred sexuality and stuff. So
Hmm.
they talk about a lot of spicy stuff and I highly recommend if you're into that London Winters and Patrick Justin Pierce, amazing teachings. But they talk about like you learn to like make love to the desire itself and to the process of desiring something. And so you let the desire of something become the satisfying part. And so it's like such a foreign concept, but I was like, what a beautiful way to like frame because if we're always going to have desire, we might as well like fucking love having that desire. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And enjoy the process of desiring. And it's kind of almost like again, like, to use like, sex is kind of like a way of framing it. It's like it's kind of like we're not working towards the climax. We're actually enjoying the process. And I think that's really where life gets juicy, but it's again, we're trained to be like, it's only worth the outcome, or it's only worth the payoff, or it's only worth the success that you have on the outside, or it's only worth the paycheck versus
Yeah.
like
Well,
actually how much did you enjoy the process itself?
that's why they always say it's about the journey, not the destination. You know what I mean? Because it's like the destination is like, yeah, this is like a great achievement, or you've done something, or you've acquired something, or you're in a great relationship, whatever it is. But
Hmm.
to your point, it's like when you get that, the journey doesn't stop there.
No.
Like now it's like you're at square one.
Yeah.
It's like 1 through 9 or 1 through 10, and you're starting back at 0.
Hmm.
So it's always a cycle.
Well, and I think the challenge is that we don't have to make what we've got bad or wrong in order to justify desiring more. And
Yeah.
I think that's like where it's like again, like I have this great job, but it's not satisfying me. So there must be something wrong with it because I have another desire. And it's
Yeah.
like I need to hold my dog's head back. Um, but
I love him so much.
I do
He's so
too.
cute.
He's being the most right now. Um, um, sorry guys. Um, but like I'll find like again, it's like your relationship isn't bad or lacking. You just had the birth of a new desire within it. And that's the natural
Yeah.
process. But we tend to, what I want to say is because we have a desire birth where we kind of go towards, well, there must be something missing or lacking or amiss in what I'm currently doing to justify
Hmm.
why a new desire was birthed versus like this is the nature of like of just life itself because we're constantly
Yeah.
manifesting. So we're meant to constantly be getting new desires like
Yeah.
initiated. So I don't know. I think it's when they explained that I was like, "Oh my God, that's so beautiful." And again, I noticed like where it's like again like my job, like there's nothing wrong with my job. It's such a beautiful thing and there's a time where like I would be so stoked to be doing what I'm doing right now. And
Hmm.
my desires have evolved. And it doesn't mean that what I'm doing now isn't awesome. It just means I think I'm moving towards something that's going to be just as awesome. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
think it's kind of, I don't know, I just loved that reframe from them.
I love it too.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of, and I know we need to cut this
We
off,
cut
but
titty bits to
like
cut
I
time
feel
and
like
still gonna go over what we would if we
I know,
did titty
I'm
bits.
still talking. Well, it's kind of like one of those things where for me, like when I think about like I want to say all the things that I want to say the checklists or the things that I wanted to achieve. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I've checked off.
Yeah.
Like I have checked off everything that I've wanted to achieve thus far.
Hmm.
Thus far.
Thus far.
I have checked off. And I think that's where the little bit of the fog is. It's like, okay, I've achieved everything I want to achieve. Now, like what do I want to do next? Which is very exciting,
Yeah.
you know, but and I think that's where, the deepening comes in is like taking the things that I've achieved and the things that I've learned and now going, if I looked at every aspect of the things that I've checked off the boxes, could I improve those? Could I learn a little bit more, to make it, more meaningful to me in
Hmm.
the things that I love and do,
Hmm.
versus on taking something completely new or,
Yeah.
taking another task or whatever to whatever. And I feel like that's kind of, I think I just need to be in the space of acceptance,
Yeah.
more than, trying to find that completely out in left field thing to do, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And I
And
would
that's
say
just kind of
like
where I'm at.
I think the intention, like that might feel like best for that space, and this is again what I'm using, so take it or leave it. But it's like I just keep putting the intention out to the universe, like inspire me.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna go hunting, searching, trying to force, like inspire me. Because this the thing is, when you see the thing that you're like, oh wow, you'll go in. You won't even hesitate. You'll be like, I want
Yeah.
to dive deeper there. Right? So inspire me. Send me something that makes me go, makes me want to dig deeper.
I would like to do that.
Yes, let
Yes.
us be inspired, shall we?
I love being inspired.
I'm looking for the things that will make me go yodelay hee hoo and make
I
me
just love
go
you.
wowza. I love you too. Well, I think
All
we've
right.
really hit the pinnacle
Yeah,
of highbrow podcasting here.
I think so too.
And we'll just skip over. Well, we won't do a titty bits today because I feel like we kind of honestly we covered a number of topics in this, but I'm so glad that
We
we
did.
and thanks for joining us for as if you've been with us for a minute, this was a little bit more of a free form conversation than what we've done in the past. So you might hear more like this from us, but this is I think
Yeah,
where we really
we got
um
stuff.
we jam. I always
Yes,
love the Pixar movie Soul. They say like I'm jazzing. That's what I feel like we do really well is we jazz. We
jazz
jazz.
for
We
sure.
jazz here. So anyways, well, I think that is our episode.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in. I hope everybody got some tidbits and nuggets out of this as much as I did
Yeah,
talking
same.
about it. Sometimes you just got to talk it out. You got to talk it out.
Yeah. I would say we incarnated with 7 billion other people for a fucking reason. We're not supposed
True
to
that.
keep it all inside. So,
Truth.
all
Truth.
right, y'all. Well, enjoy the rest of your whatever time of day it is. And we'll see you
Yeah.
on the next episode.
Thank you much.
Bye bye.